Good.
Man, what's the funnest thing, best thing for you about going on the road to play a football game in the SEC?
I think the best thing for us, well, I speak for myself. The best thing for me is definitely just the competitive factor. All odds against you. You know, everybody's real loud, rah rah. You know, all of that stuff, and you know, you get everybody's best shot. So for me, it's being able to handle all of that and you know, still coming out on top.
What's the strangest, I don't know, maybe strange, I get a wrong description, but most interesting experience you've had going to an opposing state, like getting off the bus, running on the field for the first time, anything particularly jump out at you?
Just being called some funny names for sure.
Okay.
Sedrick, you guys are once again up for the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line. What kind of progress have you seen from this group from the start of the season to where you all are?
In my opinion, I feel like we started off really strong the Oregon game. I feel like we kind of dropped off like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But I feel like once we got towards SEC play, I think we've been really, really solid. And I think really what we've done a good job, in my opinion, is being really consistent. Especially in pass protection, I think we've been pretty consistent all year. So I just like the progression that the guys have and being consistent and building up.
Cedric, when you got a freshman running back like Branson, is there anything you as an offensive lineman can teach him about pass protection, picking up blitzes and stuff, or is it just so different being a running back?
I just try to let Coach McGee do his job. I try not to overstep.
How have you seen Branson kind of get better in both in pass protection and running the ball throughout his freshman
I think one thing he's done a really good job on over the season is learning how to practice. I think a lot of guys kind of come in and may not understand, you know, what our goal is in practice for Georgia, and I think he's done a tremendous job of having open ears, and just really taking in what the older guys are trying to give him.
A lot of outsiders look at your situation, having clinched a spot in the SEC championship game, knowing Georgia could probably lose a game and still make the playoff, and say, how do these guys keep their edge? How do they stay hungry? So what is the secret sauce for that?
Our goal every week is to win. Focus on each opponent each week, understand what their strengths are, how they'll try to attack us and win. That's our goal. Try to be as aggressive and, you know, uphold the standard of Georgia football.
What do you anticipate in terms of the Kentucky defense? I don't know how many guys they got back from last year, but you played in that game. Maybe you can share with us.
They have a few guys back, a few guys that played minutes last year. I think what they try to do is I think they are a lot like us in the sense of some of the formations and some of the defensive fronts that they run. I think they do a tremendous job in striking and attacking and holding the point. I think on defense they play really fast. They have a lot of young, talented guys. So we look forward to the challenge. I think it's going to be a great game in their house. So we look forward to going out and competing.
Senator, did you hear from a lot of your New Orleans friends about LSU, Georgia?
I've been blocking calls. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Blocking calls. I'll talk to you later.
At your time in New Orleans going to Warren Eaton High School, is that right?
Warren Easton.
Warren Easton. You were on the QB1 show, or at least the quarterback was. How did that prepare you for what you've come here and all the cameras that are always on you here at Georgia?
That's a good question. Well, then, you know, the cameras weren't on me. They were on him, following him to his house. So it was definitely a sigh of relief then to, you know, have that freedom to just be a kid. But honestly, I think it's something that God has, you know, blessed me with, and ability to just go in front of people and just talk to the person and not necessarily the camera.
Kirby was saying that Damaris is back getting, you know, regular reps. You know.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, Coach Smart was saying that Damaris Mims is back getting, you know, regular reps with in practice and everything. Getting him back, what's that going to mean for the offensive line?
I think it's tremendous for us. It allows us a lot of flexibility. Allows guys to get breathers, allows guys to be fresh. It cuts back snaps from certain guys. So I think it gives us a lot of flexibility, and it allows guys to roll in and out and be, you know, as productive as possible.
Cedric, it seemed like in that Mississippi State game, kind of hard to find running room in that first half. And then you guys got it going. Can you kind of put your finger on what was going on in that first half and then what started working?
Some defenses are designed to do certain things. Some defenses are designed to stop the run. Some are designed to stop the pass, and you have to find, you know, what works. I think Mississippi State did a tremendous job of clogging gaps and, you know, identifying formations and trying to figure out where the run was going based off those things, and, you know, moving and slanting. There was a lot going on. We definitely could have been better for sure, though. But I think ultimately that was their whole game plan, was to try to stop the run.
What's sort of the challenge you see in running against Kentucky this weekend?
They're like us. They're strong, really physical, dominant team. So it's going to be mano on mano, and the best guy has to win.
Kind of going back to what you said about Branson earlier, how much do freshmen like him, like these highly touted guys, have to learn how to practice when they get to a school like this?
A bunch. You go a lot of days where you feel like the world is on top of you, and you can't do things right. Honestly, a lot of times you're probably losing and getting your butt kicked a lot in practice. But I think that's all a part of the experience at Georgia. You learn how to humble yourself quickly and understand that everybody's good. You have to do other things other than what God has given you. So I definitely think he's not the only person that has went through those processes, but I think he's done a tremendous job in adapting to what Georgia has given him, because every time he gets in the game, he makes the most of it, even in practice.
Cedrick, what were some of your personal challenges? From the front, you've always been a pretty confident guy dealing with us, but there had to be a time when you were younger, when you were going up against guys like Wyatt and Davis. I mean, can you share some of that background of what you went through to get to where you're at?
So honestly, I can say my freshman year, my biggest problem with JD was just strength. He was a lot stronger than me. And I had to figure out ways how to work around that. So if a guy's stronger than you, how can you beat him? Can you use your feet? Can you use your quickness? Can you stop him with an initial punch? Can you sometimes you may have to pop his face mask. There's different things that you have to do in order to get the job done. And that was the thing for me. It was figuring out how can I compete with these guys, even though if I'm not the strongest. I don't have 4 years in the program, just lift the weight. So how can I go out there and compete with this guy? For me though, that was never why I lost my confidence. It wasn't with going against other guys, because I felt like I was able to compete, especially with those guys uplifting me. And I think that's a key part of Georgia, is the connection piece. Those guys told me from day one that I would be able to compete on this level, so that was never really a problem for me. I think my biggest thing was coming in just understanding that just because you're not playing doesn't mean that you aren't ready.
Cedrick, have you ever had any interaction with Andrews or Ben Jones? Have you watched them?
Personally, no. I do know who they are. I have tremendous respect for them and what they've done for our university, but I've never had the opportunity to have a conversation with them.
Do you watch them knowing that they played center here?
Being completely honest, this year has been a little bit different for me. I haven't been watching much NFL football. Everything I've been watching has been more film or college-based, so this year has been a little bit different for me. Now, I will say I have watched some every Thursday. Thursday nights are a little bit slower for me, so I'll watch every now and then.
With that game last week, have you ever played in a game that was quite that cold?
Yeah, actually, in Louisiana, I think we went up to like North Shreveport or something like that, and it was like 10 degrees or something like that up there. It was muddy. Terrible game, terrible game, but we ended up winning that game. So it wasn't my first time, but honestly, I think something you learn as an athlete is, as long as you go out there and handle your business, it doesn't affect you.
I was going to say, is there anything you've learned to combat having to play a game like that?
Put some Vaseline on, you'll be all right.
Going back to
Two more questions.
Going back to what you said about you and Jordan going back and forth, your freshman year and his, I guess that would have been his third year in the program. Who is it that you find yourself going up against this year, maybe a younger guy that you've, mentored a little bit from the other side of the ball through the competition?
Probably Christian Miller. That's my guy, I've spent a lot of time with him outside of football, and we go at it a lot in practice, scout team, things like that. So that's the guy I try to help out and look out for when I can.
Any more questions?
So how would you evaluate your game this year, 10 games in terms of what kind of improvement have you seen when you evaluate yourself?
That is a tough question, and I'll say that's a tough question because honestly, my focus hasn't been on myself. It's been how can I lead the guys, how can I lead the team, how can I lead this unit. But if I had to, I definitely think I've had my struggles where I may have played good but not great, and ultimately my goal wasn't to play just good this year. My goal was to play great. So I've definitely been critical of myself. I think there's been some things I could work on for sure, but I don't think I was just out there just getting bullied for sure.
Thank you, Cedrick.
Thanks. Yeah,